Welcome back to Man Across New Horizons. I'm dear darling. As you will see what's going on on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today. You know what I recently discovered? You know, the usual dear darling goes on a nostalgia kick or whatever. Last night discovered that, well, actually it wasn't last night. I think it was actually a couple of days ago. So I don't know. I always start my stories of like last night, despite the fact it didn't happen last night. It happened like 5 days ago or something. But anyway, I was on a bit of a nostalgia kick because I can't remember how I actually got onto the thought process at least, but you know, anyone know that old Disney cartoon called Recess, which aired in 1997? Well, we'll get onto that in a bit because Isabella's loaded in. So hello there everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 3:17 PM on Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Yeah, if you don't know, there was an old Disney Channel show called Recess, which aired in 1997 to 2001, which you might be like, hey, wasn't that a little bit before your time? Yeah, I was like not born, I think, when it started airing, but you know, I watched it in reruns, especially when I was around, I don't know, 6 or whatever years old. I don't really record off the top of my head. Oh, hello, Apollo. We got your birthday gift of fruit or something, didn't we? I honestly don't record. Yes, hopefully you all had a good July 4th if you're American, and if you're not American, hopefully you also had a good July 4th, irregardless, I suppose, of the occasion. But yeah, I thought about the Disney show Recess again because, you know, it was one of my favourite shows when I was younger. That and Conan Kiss Next Door, I think, were probably my two favourite shows when I was younger. I did like other ones like, you know, Shaolin Showdown, Bamzuki, Ed, Edd and Eddy, but I think Recess and Conan Kiss Next Door are two very standout shows from my childhood, which I remember quite fondly. And I don't remember exactly how I thought about it, to be perfectly honest. I think I thought about something, and when I thought about the fact it was like I saw it and posted on Reddit like 2 years ago or something, maybe not 2 years ago, that seems too long, maybe a couple of months ago, whenever basically the crypto market crashed, someone posted a video, one of the episodes of Recess, and I didn't watch it at the time because, you know, I actually looked at basically the thumbnail for a Recess video. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this video. It was a video where, not video, but episode where TJ like, it was like he was off sick and he had to basically there was a currency introduced within the playground or whatever, then he had like nothing. He worked himself up to basically have a monopoly on over everything, and then it all crashed, and then he was all this currency was worth pennies again. So basically I somehow thought about that again, which is a bit weird because it's sort of like a memory of a memory. And was like, you know what, I wonder if there's any Recess episodes on YouTube, and lo and behold, like most other things which, you know, are not really in the public domain, but most other things which, you know, are reasonably old at this point are, you know, uploaded onto YouTube. Not exactly the most legal thing in the world, technically, but, you know, people do it anyway. And honestly, I suppose it's... And I wonder why things are so, like, lax, I suppose, and cracking down on the copyright. I assume it ends up being, like, these things are so old it doesn't actually matter anymore in their eyes. I'm not really sure. But, you know, with the advent of streaming services, I'm not really sure quite what Disney's take on that. But probably they just don't care enough. That's my assumption. I don't work in copyright claims or anything like that, so I've got no idea. But anyway, some of the episodes are on YouTube, so, you know, I did check them out a little bit, I will say. And it's interesting, you know. It's interesting watching these videos, these episodes, from an adult perspective, because the last time I watched these episodes was... I was definitely in primary school. I don't think it was even airing when I was in secondary school anymore. But I was in primary school. I'm going to guess I watched it from the ages like 6 to 11 or something like that, and I don't really record off the top of my head. It's really interesting seeing the show from a sort of like more adult perspective, because a lot of the episodes in Recess, as it turns out, are basically mirrors of sort of things which happen in real life in like the adult world, quote quote, but, you know, done through a childhood setting, you know, childhood like playground analogies. Obviously the one with the crypto crashes are talking about monopolies and you know, market, not really market theory, but, you know, economics, I suppose, and that sort of thing. I forget what that one's that episode's called or whatever, but, you know, it's not the most uncommon thing, I suppose, for like kids TV shows to, you know, mirror lessons which, you know, kids will learn in later life, or that sort of thing, to, you know, try and teach and instill good values, hopefully, of them early. That's, you know, kind of the point of kids TV shows, to be able to have a good balance between being entertaining for kids and also, you know, educational in a sense, not necessarily educational from like a curriculum based or academic based perspective, but from like a sort of like life lesson perspective, while also being engaging, which, you know, honestly I think Recess does very interesting. But Recess is kind of like, the more I watch it, the more I was just like, you know, the episodes, one thing I didn't really remember, the episodes are so short, they're about 10 minutes long. You know, most standard episodes, you know, of any sort of cartoon or show or things are like 25 episodes long with like advertisements in the middle, scattered throughout. I mean, you know, like 20 minutes to 30 minutes long. I mean, you know, they normally take about half an hour slot. Recess episodes are like about 10 minutes long. Because I honestly don't remember the fact that they ran as basically double features. They ran about 10-minute episode, advert break for like, I assume like 10 minutes or something, 5 minutes or whatever, 10-minute episode, advert break again. And that was it. I was like, wow, you know, I didn't basically realise, you know, coming out from, you know, new perspectives and, you know, and I like cartoons about sort of thing, you know, structuring of TV shows, you know, and someday it'd be cool to actually make a cartoon, etc., etc. Seeing it from a perspective, being like, Recess is very efficient with basically how it gets its story across. But basically, I would say, essentially, there's no breathing room. it's immediately like 1 point to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. There's no, very little slow build up or anything or anything. There is certainly is a sense of escalation, but you don't get like a slow burner at any point. It is just immediately straight to the point it needs to get across. Which I guess you kind of do have to be snappy and punctual if you're writing episodes with 10 minutes and you have like larger concepts which you want to convey in a short amount of time. So really, if anything, it should be a lesson on, you know, prioritization of ideas and story elements and beats and, you know, the hierarchy of things which you need to actually get across to make your episode engaging and compelling. Now, I'm sure part of the reason, you know, I like Recess and Codename Kids Next Door so much when I was younger is because, I don't know if it's backwards, it's because I like ensemble casts now, which stemmed from me liking those shows when I was younger, or because I always liked ensemble casts, and that, you know, ended up not making me like, it sounds quite aggressive, but ended up with me liking those sorts of shows. I don't know. But obviously Recess is an ensemble cast. They have the cast of 6 members, you know, you've got TJ, the sort of like the crafty class clown charismatic sort of leader. You got like Spinelli, the bully quote, but she's not really the bully. I guess she's more like the brute. If you want to call it that. You know, I suppose you could probably have like fight what's the word? The 5-man team. So you got TJ as a leader. I suppose Vince is the lancer, right? I don't know. Perhaps trying to force his TV trips onto him is not really a good idea. But anyway, you got Lance. You know, he's the jock. He's the athlete. He's the, you know, the achiever, wins at everything, great at everything sort of thing. You got the smart girl, Gretchen, voiced by Ashley Johnson, who you might know from Critical Role, of course. Which I didn't actually realise for a long time she was Gretchen, but you know, I certainly hear it now. I hear it in her performance. I don't know, she's just like smart, like obviously ridiculously smart, because it's one thing which comes up, because as I say, Recess, the more I watch it, I'm just like, this is really sort of like an adult show with like a children's premise, isn't it? At least where so watch these things, you kind of forget that the kids are meant to be like 9 years old, because, you know, Gretchen is basically like PhD level sort of cleverness in literally every single subject like known to mankind somehow, which obviously, you know, is unrealistic. But you know, Recess ain't really trying to be realistic. It's sort of just trying to fit into a easily recognizable sort of like character tropes in the first place. And you know, Gretchen is the smart one, so she kind of has to be smart for everything. So any story points which require someone to be smart, she can sort of propagate that story along. You got the big guy, Mikey, you know, big, soft, gentle giant, whatever, a bit of a poet. I said Spinelli, but a tough one, right? That's right. No, I'm missing the heart. I don't know who the heart's meant to be. I guess Mikey's the heart. Yeah, I mean, I guess Spinelli is sort of the big one, right? The brute, the tough one, you know, brawn over brains or whatever. And then Mikey should be the heart because he's, you know, the sentimental, the emotional one, that sort of thing. And the Gus is the sick ranger or whatever. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. It's a very entertaining show, and if anything, I actually kind of like it more now that I watched it as an adult, because now you sort of pick up on all these sort of things. Like, again, the one with the crypto crash. It obviously, it wasn't created with crypto in mind, I don't think, because 1997, is that a bit too, that's probably a bit too early for really crypto to, well, crypto certainly wasn't mainstream at the time, but I don't even know if it was a thing back in 1997, to be perfectly honest. And I'm trying to think, was that early 2000s? Isn't it when, you know, Bitcoin was created somewhere around there? Anyway, but, you know, it's sort of, it's more like a commentary on monopolies and markets and that sort of thing, you know. And, you know, TJ's, his wily, like, creativeness, you know, started from the streets, you know, working hard to get a certain amount and then using it to multiply and monopolize. And, you know, there's a comment on capitalism and all that sort of thing where, you know, he, like, hires people to do jobs for him, and then, like, the sort of stranglehold he has on the playground of basically controlling the entire economy. To extent where he's like, you know, enacting fines on people for like not using lunch trays or whatever because they had to use the for books to survive, etc., etc. You know, it's a very interesting commentary on that sort of thing, and I'm surprising that Disney allow it. But you know, Disney do have some absolute bangers of cartoons. I suppose Phineas and Ferb would be sort of be the successor in the edge, and to Recess. Well, in a different sort of vein. Well, Recess sort of feels like analogous to a lot of adult world things and problems. Phineas and Ferb is sort of just like a delightful trip of insanity and creative freedom. I suppose this is probably how I differentiate them. Yeah, it's interesting to see, you know, TJ get to the top and, you know, basically monopolizing stranglehold, I suppose, on literally everything. He controls literally everything which happens, and then see it all come crashing down or whatever, which is obviously not particularly realistic for some sort of playground setting. You know, often of our playground economics and that sort of thing, but they never get to that sort of stage. But the kids are far more capable than, you know, any 9-year-old practically would be. But it causes a rather very interesting and engaging show. There's other things like the game, which is, I assume, meant to be analogous to, you know, forms of like addiction and that sort of thing, which, you know, obviously doesn't really quite get revealed to you, I suppose, when you're like younger than 12 or something. When you're watching it, you know, you got vague ideas of, you know, like drugs and that sort of thing. Then people come into school to talk about it, and you know, you got the rules of like, don't do drugs. And it makes me think about the fact that we used to have erasers or rubbers in school, which basically said, say no to drugs, say no to smoking, that sort of thing. When at the time I was like, I don't even know what drugs are, to be perfectly honest. But then, you know, I suppose it certainly did its job of like instilling that sort of mindset into being wary, I suppose, of those sort of things in your youth. Or at least to be wary of the dangers. But, you know, certainly secondary school is perhaps a much better place to actually probably consider. But, you know, it depends on, you know, the life you end up living, I suppose. But yeah, and that one, very play game, it's basically an incredibly addictive game. Presumably some sort of drug analogy, you know, is meant to be what happened. You know, it takes over the whole school, everyone gets insanely addicted to it, and it's literally the only thing that they can continue to play, or so much of it they stop doing anything else. It's all consuming, and I was like, you know, that's a very, you know, interesting, you know, plot for a kid's show. Certainly. I'm trying to remember some other ones off the top of my head. But one which always sticks in my mind, but for no apparent reason, I don't even remember the episode all too well, is that there's one called like Me No No, where I don't even remember, I think it was like Vince or something, like missed a movie or a TV show or something, like the episode of a TV show which everyone else in the entire school, or in his entire existence, watched as well. And basically there's like a load of catchphrases, and basically the entire premise is there's a load of inside jokes which Vince no longer understands, and now he feels uncool because he's not keeping up with current times. And the only reason I remember it so well is because it's just a recurring joke of just some character going me no no throughout the entire thing. And it's something I reference all the time, despite the fact I don't think any of my friends understand it. But I say it all the time when I'm just, you know, okay, not literally all the time, but, you know, sometimes I say, just like, oh, you know the answer to this, I don't know the answer, I'll just be like, me no no. Of course, played a lot more straight, and I suppose, than just saying the way they say it in recess. But obviously, you know, it's a sort of commentary of like social fads, I suppose, which come and go, and, you know, if anything, it's a bit more grounded, I suppose, much more like relevant to kids and teenage, sort of lesson to learn of being, you know, being cool and being like up with the times, and feeling like, I suppose, socially like you're not part of a group because you're falling behind on, you know, the things which happen. But also, you know, as not watching it, there's like subtle lessons about, you know, parents' trust and that sort of thing, because, you know, the whole reason that Vince tries to fix the problem is by going to watch a movie which his parents like banned him from going to, which I must say, I don't know why the parents banned him in the first place. Like, I guess, you know, they make points at being like, oh, you know, it's they criticize the comedic value of it, you know, just being like slapstick and for cheap laughs or whatever. And I'm like, you know, my perspective, I suppose, as an adult now, being like, kids love that sort of thing, you know, just let the kid go watch this movie, you know. And we're just like, oh, we had to deal with your childish antics for like last time we took you to see some comedy movie, you wouldn't stop like quoting the jokes or whatever. And I'm just like, your parents, you kind of like signed up for this business, and like, I'm sorry to burst your bubble. That's like kind of what the entire thing is going to be like for like rest of your, well, not rest of your life necessarily, but at least over 18 or so, you know. This is kind of what you signed up for, I suppose. And if anything, I feel, oh, hello, you got fleas. And always questions how animals without fur end up getting fleas in the first place. I don't know if fleas, well, I'm not really sure if fur is particularly relevant to getting fleas or something. Anyway, What a strange episode that is. What other episodes are there? There's the one where Mikey like gets over stage fright. Like some of the episodes are certainly much more grounded and very typical like kid show, teen show, sort of like morals, you know, and like Mikey getting stage fright. But they always seem to do quite an interesting job of like interweaving multiple things together. Like, or the Mikey episode about him singing, only being able to sing in the bathroom is sort of like meant to be some sort of like stage fright thing, or like being able to be true to yourself like at all times rather than, you know, not being able to perform it, so that sort of thing. But yeah, there's also some like subplot about you know, Mikey being a kid and falling in love with a music teacher who was teaching him, the music teacher being like 25ish or 26. There's also a fantastic joke in that episode. It was like, she must be positively ancient, at least 24. And I was like, wow, okay, fine. but the jokes are very on point, obviously. You know, I was going to say, obviously, the show is written by adults. That's obvious. So there's a lot of adult humor, which obviously went over my head when I was a kid when I watched it in the first place. But, you know, they tackle it rather well, you know. The actual teacher just, you know, sits down on Mikey being like, yes, you are going to certainly be one of my favourite students because, you know, you're kind of gentle, but obviously we can't, you know, be in a relationship or anything. You know, she's already in a relationship for one, and also the age difference is ridiculous. But, you know, she's a very encouraging teacher at the same time. It's not like playful, like weird laughs or anything. It's just, you know, the teacher actually sits down and is a proper teacher to Mikey, and sort of like has this way of being like, you know, you'll always be my favourite student, etc., etc. But obviously, you know, sometime in the future, you'll find someone who's your age and she'll be the luckiest girl in the world or whatever. It was just like, you know what? That's a very nice way to put... Not a very nice way to sort of round up, I suppose, the moral teachings of that episode, because it ends up being framed as something of Mikey just sort of like thinking about, you know, himself and reflecting on, who, I suppose, what he wants. And I was like, you know, props to writers for that sort of thing. I wonder who actually wrote Recess. Or like who are the main writers? Who created it? I'm not like an expert on people who like make cartoons about that sort of thing. Like the only one I super know off the top of my head is Lauren Faust, who wrote My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. She also worked on like Powerpuff Girls, and what else she worked on? She worked on Supergirls, which is a much more recent cartoon which I've not seen. She worked on other stuff as well. Did she work on Over the Garden Wall? I feel like she did. I think she also did some stuff on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Anyway, created by Paul Germain and Joe Ansola B here. A story editor for Rugrats and Hey Arnold. Makes sense. Pound Puppies. What? Oh no, I remember. Rugrats, Recess, Lloyd in Space, Tracy Ullman Show. Don't know that. No, I'm just trying to think. What sort of other stuff is there? I know there's a lot of minor characters there actually. The show as well, you know, representing sort of like, I suppose it's meant to be a sort of like microcosm of society in the first place. You know, you got like Ashy, he's meant to be like the privileged, the rich, or whatever, the pampered, etc., etc. You get like Guru Kid, who's meant to be, I suppose, representative of much more like mystical spiriticism. Is that a word? I don't really know. Not chop down trees. Hit trees, customize, and hit rocks. Okay, can do. Who else is there? You know, you got other people like the person who I can't remember his name. Butch, whatever. He's meant to just like sort of give bad premonitions of like the future. He's sort of like a doomsayer, I suppose, in a certain sense. Who else is there? King Bob, you know, he's just meant to be like a dictator ruler of a playground, amusingly. It's all a microcosm, Actually, one on my Wikipedia page. What else you got? You got Muriel Finster, you got Randall. Of course, all these people make a very interesting, engaging cast, and the minor characters actually get, you know, times in limelight as well, from what I recall. I certainly do remember episodes about the Ashleys. Like there's one where like the leader of Ashley, she got like rejected from a group of Ashleys because she forgot to wear like purple on like the anniversary of when the Ashleys first met or something. I don't really remember off the top of my head. What else is there? King Bob, Ashleys, Hustler Kid, that's his name. That's what I was trying to think of. Swinger Girl, etc., etc. It's 6 seasons. That's actually crazy. I didn't realise they had that many seasons. 26 segments, 13 episodes. Season 3 had 8 episodes. Season 6 had 3 episodes. Oh yeah, I forgot I had a film as well. It's where the summer break one, right? Before they went to 5th grade or something. They like I'm trying to remember. It's like something happened to the moon. It's basically, you know, it's sort of like typical like childhood novel, young adult or teenage fantasy thing, where it's basically, you know, and whenever you write the stories, I can't remember where I read it once, but it's like you always have to write the story. Basically, the adults have to be basically incompetent, and the kids basically do everything. That's like the sort of the secret to an engaging young adult novel, the childhood novel, or teenage TV series, anything like that. I can't remember why I haven't read it, but you know, the more I reflect on like things I've read in my youth or whatever, more it seems to be true. You know, things like Alex Rider, Shapeshifter series. Can't really remember any others off the top of my head, I'm going to be honest, but etc. etc. Fillmore, oh man, Fillmore is basically the same sort of thing, but Fillmore is basically, instead of being like sort of like microcosm and commentary in society and that sort of thing, Fillmore is basically like meant to be the equivalent of like a gritty noir detective series, but you know, takes place in high school. It's also really good from what I remember. What do we need to customize? I don't know what we haven't customized for a while. Slingshot? Don't know if it's been that long, but let's see. Okay, let's do recess episodes. Let's see how many I can remember. The break-in. This is what I remember. This one, TJ didn't get allowed to go to recessor anymore. You know, he got banned from recess, and they all try and break him in. They banned all the people in the playground together to help him out or something. The new kid. That's when Gus joins. I don't really remember about what happens, except for Gus is just the new kid or something. What am I doing? Oh, I was going to do radio exercise, that's it. The experiment? This is one where TJ and Spinelli kiss. I thought that was like literally one of the last episodes of the show. I didn't realise it was that early on. You know? I suppose that one is meant to be more like a sort of an analogy to growing up or whatever. Did they have like a full-on wedding or something? Now I think about it in that show. I suppose that's what it's meant to be, like the wedding episode or whatever. The Great Jungle Gym Standoff. I don't know this one. Oh, this is one where they I think I've like watched all these episodes when I was younger, and I didn't realise I had such a great memory of them. This is the one where they sort of like protest the taking down of like their big old jungle gym or something. I don't remember what happens in it. I suppose it's an episode where they protest. Jinxed. Oh, this is Gus gets jinxed and he can't speak or whatever, and he almost gets like, you know, it's very sort of like fantastical, magical stuff which happens in recess. Like he almost gets like arrested by the FBI because he, you know, won't talk or something. I honestly don't recall. Officer Mikey. Oh, this is the army episode, isn't it? This is where like Mikey wants to join basically the army, I suppose, and of a playground or whatever. He's like, it was always his dream, but you know, he there's no way he can join because he's basically like not fit to join the army or whatever, and that sort of thing, you know, both physically and I suppose he's got the wrong sort of mindset for it. And then, you know, the crew do a lot of favours, the squad do a lot of favours to get him in or something. I don't really remember much past that. First name Ashley, so Spinelli's first name's Ashley. Then she like joins the Ashley club or whatever, or is forced to. I can't remember. I don't know. Something happens after that. To Finster with love. I don't remember this one. Miss Finster develops a crush on Hank Vagina. I do remember this. I don't like. She develops a crush, and then they both like suck at their jobs because they're just too busy being in love. It's actually really heartbreaking when I think about it in retrospect, because it's sort of just like they're madly in love with each other. They want to be together, but because of but being together means they sort of like shirk all their responsibilities. So like recess becomes completely like unregulated. Nothing gets fixed, and the janitor duties don't get done, and that sort of thing. You know, I assume these are all meant to be like parodies of things or whatever, but. Some parodies certainly go in my head. It's a very sad thing where they break up because they have responsibilities that they must tend to, you know. Sometimes it happens in life, you know, you could be most compatible in love people with each other. Wait, what day is it today? Tuesday, okay. I was just thinking because I have my writing group on Thursday. I haven't written anything for it, so I guess I got to do some tonight. But they just got to part ways because, you know, circumstances of life does not allow them to be together. Hello, who has cornered for me? Apollo, was that you? You're just standing still, apparently. King Gus? I think this is when Gus becomes king and is an absolute terrible king or something. Right, you know, typical, you know, power gets to someone's head and probably makes amends at the end. Big Brother Chad. I don't remember this one. Oh, Chad is older brother, which everyone thought was so cool, but then it turns out he's just like a big old nerd or whatever. But then Chad's like, you know, yeah, of course I'm a nerd or whatever. It's all about embracing yourself. My Fair Gretchen. Is this the one where Ashley's trying like... Oh no, it's the one where she gets sent away to the school for gifted children. Interesting. I'm just thinking, oh, Speedy, we hardly knew it. This is the one where the school hamster dies. It's meant to be an episode all about death and loss and that sort of thing, isn't it? Of course, I think it's the epitome of basically the adults are stupid in this universe, right? Because, you know, it's like the mayor, like the bus drivers, like the older graduate football team or whatever, all come just to mourn the loss of a hamster, and no one really thinks about the fact that the pet hamster was like 40 years old or something. It doesn't really make any sense. Let's clear our inventory. There's so many of these which I end up remembering. Swing through to the other side. What's this? All these people. Gus's last stand. Operation Field Trip. That's like go fix a bus or something, isn't it? Gretchen and the Secret of Yo. That's a really good one. That's like a sort of like Rocky based one, isn't it? Where she basically trains to become like a yo-yo master or something. It's crazy, these sort of things. Or they end up being a parody of the Girl with Trouble. That's such a good one. That's the Noir episode or whatever, where Gretchen tries to find like her mobile phone or something. I can't remember what it was. That's not a pinball machine. But it's all shot like a detective noir sort of like movie. A 10-minute like kids version of the episode, you know, as she goes to like the dark underbelly of a playground or whatever, aka the bullies and the troublemakers, trying to find and track the stuff she's been missing, and like all the paper trail that she ended up leaving behind, and she got, you know, cracked on a case of something. I don't know. It's all very interesting, you know. It really seems like a sort of TV series where, you know, the writers were just having an absolute ball with it, being like, why don't we do something like this, and how can we turn this into a playground setting? I suppose, you know, turning things into these different settings, for one, breeds a lot of room for creativity, but it's also quite fun in a certain sense, you know, just imagining like, like what if we had like, want to do like a Saving Private Ryan sort of based episode, what are you going to do? This one I do remember. And they had like a wartime based episode. No, actually it was a trial episode, wasn't it? It was about law and the court or something, where they had like the premise of like a war, which is basically like a mud war or whatever. It was like, you know, like the Geneva Convention equivalent of like the rules of playground of things you don't do, like you don't throw rocks or whatever, and like people think Spinelli threw a rock at Randall or whatever. And then it was really amusing to see basically everyone on Randall's side basically going like, yeah, you know, we hate Randall, this guy's an absolute snitch or whatever, and we hate him, but you don't break the laws of like the mud fight or whatever. And they had like this whole courtroom trial or whatever to like clear Spinelli's name. It's very, you know, I don't know. Recess. What? This is a good TV series. The octave just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. Well, I will say the episode summaries are getting a lot shorter with every single episode I scroll down. Hey, me no. TJ and Gretchen are final partners for a project. I remember that one. A bit we did something about irrigation. That's where I learned the word irrigation. Principles of golf. Yeah, when Vince plays golf. What's this one? Monday, Bad Boy Monday. I feel like I vaguely remember this one. Randall recruits a Tyler's. Ashley's little brothers help him snitch on others. I think I remember this. The film was a good thing. There's multiple films? What on earth? I didn't realise Recess had multiple films. I don't even remember School's Out. Taking the 5th grade is the series finale. Anyway. Recess, that's a pretty fun sort of cartoon from my childhood, and, you know, this all, you know, we'll file this episode certainly under the Dear Darling goes on a nostalgia trip again for, you know, things that she remembers. I'm not saying, but Recess, well, the rare thing which I actually appreciated kind of more as an adult than I do as a child from a few episodes I watched. Maybe I'll go watch some more episodes now, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to round off this episode here, so if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares, I greatly appreciate it. Join me Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.